first thing was the conference being about neurodiversity. I really wanted to give people an idea about that brains work differently and not to be scared about working with children who think in very different ways. And really also about, at the beginning of today, we checked in, we talked about what kind of animal would you be if you were an animal? Because what I wanted people to think about was neurodiversity as an analogy, really, for the diversity that we have in nature, and that it's a really positive message, especially a metaphor for children, where they sometimes might feel like they are broken inside and not accepted by society. And sometimes an analogy that's given to a lot of children that I've worked with, autistic children, is a computer. Well, it's much better to have a living, breathing, changing, regenerating thing like nature to use as an analogy for them. So that's one of the important things for me that is different. Some of the other things were about really sort of helping people to capture why it's a good thing to do, because I still have to convince people that just stepping outside is a good thing. So we talked a bit about the sensory side of things, how inside buildings they can contain a lot of sensory demands, but when you shift and reframe it outside, actually a lot of those sensory demands can be lifted off. There's not so many bright lights. If there's food cooking or coffee being made, it's contained, those smells are contained in the environment. And so that can be a really whole new experience, just stepping outside. It can help us with our emotional connection, with if you're in the sand tray and working with sand, sometimes it takes people back to memories of just being on the beach and feeling filled with joy and wonder. And it also reduces our anxiety levels. So for many children with heightened anxieties, just kind of like reframing it, being outdoors, can reduce that. We know from science that it can reduce their anxiety. And sometimes it's kind of reducing that kind of quietening their inner mind that's always just thinking and overthinking and self-criticizing, and we know that it actually just quietens down that voice. Yeah.
What brought you to this journey yourself?
Well, I personally, my own dad suffered with mental health issues, and he later in life he sort of changed things. He was quite extreme. He had schizophrenia, and he had to change his life. He had lots of medication, all sorts of things to help with it. But actually, the main thing that helped was working outdoors. He just changed his life and started working as a gardener. And I grew up working alongside him, just being in the environment outdoors. And I know that it really quietened down his voice, that were in his head. So those early experiences for me actually just made me realize how powerful it was to kind of really change and have an effect on people.
Finally, is there any final message you'd like to give to those watching, maybe parents, carers, or other therapists?
I think the main message is that sometimes we really focus on our relationship with the child and how important and how valuable that is, which is absolutely right. But we also must remember that Mother Nature is a really deep relationship too. And if we can use her and get her on side, then it can be a really powerful alliance.